My name is Michaela Patterson, and I will be reading How the Meteorite Got to the Museum by Jesse Hartland. A meteorite is, simply speaking, a rock that survives a fiery fall from outer space and lands on Earth. This happens thousands of times a year. Meteorites fall all over the place, in the sea, in deserts, on the plain, and in jungles and forests. They usually don't fall into people's yards, but this one did just that. And it happened not far from New York City, in a town called Peekskill, New York. But how did the meteorite get to the museum? Hundreds of millions of miles from Earth, in deep, dark, cold outer space, there are vast fields of space debris flying around. Chunks of ice, pieces of satellites, specks of dust, tiny grains of sand, huge rocks called asteroids, and smaller rocks called meteors. Most of this debris stays up in space, but this is the story of one rock that didn't. A meteor that falls on Earth is called a meteorite. Here in outer space is a meteor, likely a broken off piece of an asteroid, flying around and around and around. A year goes by. 1,000,000 years go by. 1,000,000,000 years go by. Over 4 billion years go by. And then, on October 9th, 1992, and no one knows exactly why, the rock changes course and enters Earth's atmosphere over the state of Kentucky. Here is a dog sleeping on a porch who is awakened by a loud sound. She barks at the meteorite, woof, 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 as it zooms toward the Earth. Here are Virginians enjoying a late-night burger who suddenly see a fiery trail in the sky. We know it was a meteorite. Get a load of that! Holy smoke! The meteorite, which was barked at by the dog as it hurled toward the Earth. Here are sports fans at a Pennsylvania high school football game. The home team is trailing by 7. The running back has got the ball. 3rd down, 4 yards to go. Home movie cameras point to the action on the field until... More exciting than a flying football is the meteorite, which was spotted by the Virginians and yelped at by the dog as it zipped toward the Earth. Boom! Bang! Here is the teenager who had been watching late-night TV in her house in Peekskill, New York, when she heard a tremendous crash. She rushed outside and discovered a huge dent in the trunk of her car and a smoking rock nearby. Who threw this rock? Of course, it is really the meteorite, which was filmed by sports fans, pointed at by Virginians, and woofed at by the dog as it sped toward the Earth. Here are the police, who rush to the scene. They poke and prod at the still warm rock and declare criminal mischief for what really was caused by the meteorite, which was discovered by the teenager, recorded by sports fans, spotted by Virginians, and howled at by the dog as it bolted toward the Earth. Here are the firefighters, called to cool the rock, which has caused gas, to drip from the car's punctured fuel tank. They start to suspect that the rock may really be a meteorite, which was examined by the police, reported by the teenager, videotaped by sports fans, pointed at by Virginians, and roofed at by the dog as it plunged toward the Earth. Here is a geologist, a scientist who studies rocks to learn about the history of the Earth. He has come to Peekskill, New York from Columbia University to investigate the mysterious rock. Your car was in an interstellar collision. What has hit this car is indeed a meteorite. He confirms that what smashed the car is indeed a meteorite, which was cooled by firefighters, investigated by police, found by the teenager, gawked at by sports fans, buzzed about by Virginians, and arfed at by a dog as it raced toward the Earth. Here is a curator of meteors from the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. He is admiring the space rock and hoping to obtain at least a slice of it. This likely came from an asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars. The museum would love to add this meteorite to its collection. The museum would love to add it to its collection, this meteorite, which was identified by a geologist, cooled by firefighters, cordoned off by police, called in by a teenager, taped by sports fans, remarked on by Virginians, and arfed at by the dog, as it crashed toward the Earth. Here is a cosmologist, a scientist who specializes in outer space, explaining everything you may want to know, and more. Here we have an H6 monomict Breccia meteorite with a weight of 26 pounds. The luminous flight time exceeded 40 seconds and covered 400 to 500 miles, a speed of better than 10 miles per second. Simply put, it's an old rock from outer space that came here fast. The chance of a meteorite colliding with a car is about 1 in a billion! At the museum's symposium about the meteorite, which was procured at by the curator of meteorites, confirmed by the geologist, hosed by firefighters, poked at by police, called in by the teenager, chronicled by sports fans, whooped at by Virginians, and yipped at by the dog, as it fell toward the Earth. Here is the exhibits team at the Natural History Museum designing the lighting, signage, and diorama for their newest acquisitions, the soon-to-be famous meteorite, which was explained by the cosmologist, acquired by the curator of meteorites, measured by the geologist, chilled down by firefighters, protected by police, phoned in by the teenager, captured on video by sports fans, called to by Virginians, and yapped at by the dog, as it plummeted toward the Earth. Here is the science teacher, who guides her students through the Ross Hall of meteorites. She loves the study of mysteries of outer space and sharing that with her students. Now surrounded by a crowd of new young fans in Peekskill Meteorite, which was barked at by the dog, witnessed by Virginians, filmed by sports fans, founded by a teenager, poked at by police, sprayed with water by firefighters, validated by a geologist, obtained by the curator of meteorites, summed up by the cosmologist, presented by the exhibits team, and explained by the science teacher, who says, and that's how the meteorite got to the museum.